we play a game?
Why, yes, I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Getting geeky in Little Rock, it's Shane Plays Geek Talk, a journey into the things we love. I'm your host, Shane Stacks. Thanks so much for tuning in. And Shane Plays is when I play. I do a lot of different things. It's not just about games, although today's topic is about games, role-playing games, tabletop role-playing games in particular. But Shane Plays is just when I play. It's when I geek out, talk about movies, comic books, games, you name it, history of cool geeky stuff, whatever. In fact, the most recent episode was talking about WandaVision and the not Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Well, it ended up becoming that, but the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then going over everything that's going to be happening with the MCU Phase 4. But to help me geek out today and play is Russ Morrissey, a.k.a. Morrus, of E.N. World and E.N. Publishing. I'm going to let you throw out the name of your website, Morrus, because I always mess it up. Give us the name of your website and your podcast.
You could
I'm not doing it. Morris's unofficial
tabletop RPG news and talk, depending on what you're talking about,
the website and the podcast. So, which it's all in the name. That tells you what you need to know. It's unofficial, but it's RPG.
It does what it says on the tip.
It's a focus on tabletop RPGs. It's getting today because you have computer RPGs, which people call RPGs, and then you have tabletop RPGs, which people call RPGs. And I'm noticing that the hashtags are starting more and more to include on social media TTRPG for tabletop RPGs now.
Yeah, well, yeah, you kind of have to now because RPG just means the video.
Well, it can also mean rocket-propelled grenade, although
it can mean that.
You don't hear it that often in that context, but it can. But, Russ, you are no stranger to the show. Anybody who's listened to the show for any amount of time knows that you're a frequent guest. I'm pretty sure, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but I think there's no question now. I think you have been the most frequent guest now.
I think 4, 5.
It's been a few.
Yeah.
So either you or I know you've come on with Mike Myler before. You've come on with your co-host on your podcast, Peter Coffey.
Did I come on with Peter? I don't remember that.
You came on with Peter one time.
Oh my God! Why do I not remember that?
Because you do so much podcasting.
Scary. That's really scary.
Yeah, after a while, after you've been podcasting for a while, you'll be like.
But then you've been on our show before though, so it would have been really similar because it would have been the three of us talking on Zoom. So
right,
I'm probably just mixing them all up.
Yeah, who knows? But I'm pretty sure. Peter's been on this show before. So, but anyway, I know you've been podcasting long enough now that you're like, I totally forgot I even talked to that person. You're like, oh, that person sounds interesting. And then you look at it and you're like, oh, I interviewed them. So, and it's no knock to that person. It's just that you do it for so long and it kind of goes into, it drops out of.
Yeah. I mean, we've just hit 3 memory. We've just hit 3 years. How long have you been doing it? You've been doing it way longer than that.
Well, I've been doing it since 2015.
Yeah. So that's 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, radio for 5 years it was a radio show and a podcast, and currently it's just a podcast, but I'll eventually get back on radio one of these days. So COVID and other things kind of interfered with the radio stuff.
Yeah, well, it was the COVID getting spread by the radio waves. Is that what was going on?
That's exactly what happened.
That's how it works.
That's exactly what happened. It wasn't just COVID. There were other factors, but it actually kind of worked out better. Because with radio, you've got a weekly, like you and Peter have a weekly deadline. I got to get this out every week, which I kept up that pace for the most part for 5 years. And then the past year or so, I think it was the end of May last year, I went off of the radio. And since then, doing a weekly radio show on Saturday with the way my life has been going with stuff would have been very hard. So
did you feel that pressure as it's coming up? Because we record on Fridays, and I feel like the day or two before, the pressure as it's because it's a deadline that can't be moved. It's going to happen at that time,
right? And it's happening.
Yeah, you can't delay it. You can't procrastinate. You've got to get everything done. And like we have to, well, I have to generally write a sketch each week for the show, which we put in halfway through the script, and every single week, without fail, I'm hammering out that sketch 30 minutes before the show starts,
which amazes me. I honestly, and I mean, you write some really good sketches to just spit them out at the last minute. Because when I write sketches for you, I'll blast it out, but then I'll set on it and come back to it and edit it and tweak it and da-da-da. And you just throw it out there, and they come off polished.
Well, the thing with me is, once I know what the joke is, I'm good. I can hammer out that sketch. I can hammer out a 2-minute sketch, and it's fun. It's just coming up with the joke to start with.
Yeah, coming up with the idea. Your brother is on Facebook.
He's a machine for them. Yeah.
I've grabbed a lot of his and saved them for when I write sketches.
Yeah, no, he's well, you know what they say though, ideas are easy.
Yeah, ideas are easy. Execution is the hard part. Yeah, I love writing sketches. I really enjoy it.
I think it probably is my favorite part of the show. To be honest, I kind of think I probably would quite like being in a comedy sketch.
Right. Like writing.
Yeah. Like some kind of Mitchell and Webby type thing, or something like Fry and Laurie or something. I
think that would be fun too. And when I get the time to write a sketch, I really enjoy it. It flows. It just flows. And to me, it's an easy format to write because it's kind of like a script. For like, but it not. I mean, it's just two people talking. Yeah. You don't have to worry about this.
I was watching this Mitchell and Webb one the other day. It's one of my favourite ones. And you guys over in the US, you have the sort of same thing. So rocket science and brain surgery, like supposed to be the two metaphors for the really, really hard things to do. So you go. It
ain't rocket surgery.
It ain't rocket science or it ain't brain surgery. So so this guy turns up at a party. And he's walking around the party and he goes, "Oh, hi, what do you do?" And this other guy will go, "Oh, I'm a poet." And he goes, "Oh, poet, that's really impressive, but it's not exactly brain surgery, is it? And I should know because I'm a brain surgeon." And he's going around and goes, "What do you do?" "I'm an accountant." "Ah, accountancy, yeah, but it's not exactly brain surgery, is it?" And he does that for like 6 or 7 people, and this other guy walks in.
Then he runs into a rocket science.
This other guy walks in, and he goes up to this guy, and he's like, "Oh, hi, what do you do?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, I'm a brain surgeon." And this other guy goes to him, "Oh, yeah, that sounds like it must be very difficult, but it's not exactly rocket science, is it?"
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. So I just love sketch comedy in general.
Yeah, I do too.
The sketch comedy that I'm the most familiar with out of England in the past, I don't even know when it came out. Was it Little Britain?
Yeah.
Was there a show called Little Britain?
Yeah.
I don't know how that's
10 years old at that, but yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the closest thing to Monty Python I've ever seen, like it finding that kind of vibe or whatever. So, but yeah, writing sketches for like Saturday Night Live or shows like that, I think would be really fun. It's probably a lot more high pressure.
See, I like performing them as well, but I know I'm not really like a natural performer, and I could never really do that for a living. But I do enjoy it.
I'm telling you and Peter, I've told you all this before. I think publicly and probably, y'all do a really good job. I'm always impressed, especially Peter. Really, sometimes just.
Well, Peter can do some accents. I cannot do any accent. I can barely do my own accent, let alone any other accents. So.
Well, you're both good at inflection, though, and putting, Well,
Peter says I have like 3 roles. He says I could do an old man. he says I can channel John Cleese quite well, and I could do a sort of pseudo Brian Blessed, and that's my 3 things that I'm able to do.
Gordon's alive.
So as long as it's one of those 3 things, I'm okay.
You also do a mean Judge Dredd. I've got a recording.
Well, there is that too.
I am the law from. Yeah. I think the very first time you came on the show, we were talking about
Judge Dredd. Yeah.
Yeah, and you did a Stallone.
Was that not the first time I ever spoke to you?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, speaking of sketches, you guys every now and then you like once a week will say, "Hey, here's one of our older sketches." And it was the Quiz Show Initiative.
Oh, yeah, you wrote that one.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, and Peter just basically wins an Oscar as the host in that one. He was born for that role. But Yeah, for people who don't know, you should go check out Morris's podcast on podbean.com. And I think it's called Quiz Show Initiative. I can't remember what Daryl named it. I call it Quiz Show Initiative.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but the DM surprises everybody with a new way of doing initiative, and it turns into a quiz show with buzzers, and he asks them trivia questions, and whoever gets the highest determines the initiative order. So it's a really fun sketch. So, all right. Well, anyway, so I don't even know how we got on that.
I think it was my fault.
How did we get on that? I think we were talking about your.
I just can't stay on topic.
Nope, we can't. So
stay on target.
Yeah, I might stick every once in a blue moon. I'll put one of the sketches at the end of my show and say, "Hey, this is from Morris's." I may do that.
The other thing I meant to say, because you were talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier earlier, but you went on to something else. I was saying, me and my wife, we forgot what it was called, and we were trying to remember what it was called. And Sharon goes, "Was it Big Bird and Bucky?" And that is what we just carried on calling it.
That is now officially
series.
Big Bird and Bucky is now what it will be called, and for the remainder of my life, Big Bird and Bucky.
That's just what we call it now.
That is classic. All right. Well, anyway, so. You are to kind of try to rein it in a little bit. You're the longest or the most frequent guest on this show, I believe. I don't think there's any question. So I always appreciate your time when you come on. It's always a good time. And today,
I'm charging you by the minute.
Yes,
and we are. I have to point out if you
in pounds or dollars.
In pounds or dollars.
Okay, in Bitcoin, you're charging me in Bitcoin.
I don't even know what Bitcoin is. I couldn't. It's some kind of magic electronic bean or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's actually, man, and there's a whole nother tangent I'm not going to get into. Cryptocurrency and the blockchain and all of that is actually really super fascinating. Now, there's a lot of hype around it because there's money involved, but the technology itself is fascinating both from a technological level and also from a personal rights level. It's really interesting stuff. One of these days I want to do a show. I did a deep dive on it personally a couple of years ago. I'm actually more impressed with blockchain than I am cryptocurrency.
So if anyone says crypto to me, do you know what I think of straight away? Where I go to straight away?
The dog.
Yeah, Crypto the Wonder Dog, of course.
Yeah, Crypto the Wonder Dog. Yeah. I think I had a bad joke on the show a couple of weeks ago. It said, "What's Superman's weakness on the internet? Cryptocurrency." Anyway, so all right. So today we're here to talk about the Awfully Cheerful Engine, also known as ACE. You have hard copies.
I have to.
They look great.
They do look great.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about the format here in a second. You got kind of a different format for the books. The Awfully Cheerful Engine, ACE for short, tabletop RPG, is what we're going to be talking about. And, I finally figured it out. ACE is your burning, unquieted... The reason you gave it Awfully Cheerful Engine so it becomes ACE, because you have a burning, unrequited love for your favorite Doctor Who companion from the 80s.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
And that's where it came from. This is a
with a leather jacket and a baseball bat.
Yeah. This is a cry for attention because
batting a Dalek on the head with a baseball bat.
Yeah, with a baseball bat. And so that was your crush in the 80s was Ace, and this is all coming out now.
Okay, let's go with that. That sounds like an excellent origin story.
So this is your ode to Ace. I can't remember the actress's name.
Sophie.
I was gonna say it was like Sophie or Sophia.
Yeah, I should know.
Like
I can't remember.
Yeah, but she's famous for going to town on a Dalek with a baseball bat. So actually, I'm a big fan of that era of Doctor Who, even though it was like when Classic Who was.
I felt like Sylvester McCoy was kind of like unfairly.
He got done wrong, in my opinion. He's but that was the Doctor when I started watching Doctor Who. He was the current Doctor, so it's always got a special place in the heart.
He could be quite dark as well, though. There's a side of him that you didn't really see, and it kind of crept in towards the end, I think, that you could see that he could be quite dark and quite, like Machiavellian.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he was, I like Sylvester McCoy. But they, like when he was the Doctor, they were kind of phoning it in. It was on its last legs, kind of. And, they weren't really updating the show. It had some better special effects. But anyway, so the Awfully Cheerful Engine is your cry for help.
Okay.
One last chance to attract Ace's attention. So I had to consult the Shane Plays official team of a psychology panel. I have a panel of psychologists that I sometimes take questions to, and that's what they ran it through
Is that those guys sitting? You've got like a row of 6 guys just sitting, all in suits.
What
are they doing now?
Yep,
they're all making notes as well. What are they all doing?
Yeah, they're smoking pipes. Oh, no. They're talking about whether a cigar is just a cigar and things like that. So so that the official Shane Plays psychology panel. They ran it through the computer, and the paper that spit out said that it's obviously because of the companion from Doctor Who. So anyway,
okay then.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing. One last update of news from the Stax household. Exciting. We're growing sea monkeys.
What?
Do you remember sea monkeys?
Sea monkeys.
You never heard of sea monkeys?
I feel like I have, but I can't.
Remember, they used to, every comic book used to have these ads for sea monkeys where you'd order off and get these little instant pets.
But they're
that you grow in water.
Were they made of paper? What?
No, they're actually little creatures.
They're actual. Oh no, I don't know what they are. I don't know what.
You ever heard of sea monkeys?
Sea monkeys. No.
It's I don't know. I grew up with ads. Every comic book and every magazine had ads for sea monkeys. And you ordered off, and you got these little packets back, and you put them in water, and these little creatures grew.
Are you sure you're not imagining this?
Look it up! Look it up!
Listen to what you're saying.
I'm serious. It's true.
You have packets of sea monkeys which you put in water, and they turn into small pets.
Look it up. Look up sea monkeys.
Oh man!
Go ahead, look it up.
I don't know what you're smoking about.
Yeah, it's true. So a part of me is hoping that it will become an inevitable but unfortunate kaiju incident. So, just saying, if you see a kaiju incident
just
coming
stomping all over Arkansas. Oh dear!
You've really never heard of sea monkeys?
It is sort of tugging a tiny corner.
Just do
a
super quick.
All right, I'll do a quick.
Just do a super quick search for it. See, and it'll pop up.
Sea monkeys. Let's have a look. The original. Well, yeah, they do. Yeah, okay.
You don't remember seeing that advertisement ever? Because it's burned into the brain of I think every American kid.
No, I have not seen that before. Wow, that's weird and mildly creepy. Are sea monkeys really alive? Well, they're not monkeys, and they don't live in the sea. Sea monkeys are a hybrid breed of brine shrimp called Artemia nios, invented in 1957 by Harold von Braunhut. There you go.
Well, all I need now is an unfortunate genetics and/or radiation.
So they're shrimp.
No, they're sea monkeys.
They're shrimp. It says right here that they're shrimp.
They're instant pets. It comes with a little manual, and it talks about it welcomes you to the ranks of hobbyists worldwide.
Can you play fetch? Can you play fetch with them?
No.
What sort of pet is that then?
The fun is you have to purify the water for 24 hours before you put the eggs in.
Purifying water is fun, I got to admit. I spend many a Saturday evening purifying water.
The fun is watching my 7-year-old son. How long has it been now?
7 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when either the genetics or radiation incident occurs, and brine shrimp rampage throughout the southeast of Arkansas or the southeast of America, then
and I don't know why.
And that'll be your next ace adventure.
I'll sell my story to the press. Before, because you've probably been stomped on by your scene.
I told him not to.
Yeah. Your house has probably been flattened.
I'm like Herbert West from...
Because you're like the epicenter, so they'll have these satellite pictures and there'll just be this big smoking crater where your house was, and it's just going to radiate out from there.
Well, who would have thought those brine shrimp? Okay, anyway. The unfortunate sea monkeys incident will be the next ace adventure. Okay, let's talk about... before we get to... I always do this. I keep interrupting myself to bring up more topics. I would like, nay, the world demands, Russ. It demands a quick update on where Level Up Advanced 5th Edition is currently.
It's about 80% written, I think. So we're editing a lot right now.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of chatter on working in a few more magic items. And Mike Myler said something like, there's a chance that Advanced 5e Basic, like the initial launch, will have more magic items.
I think it's working out to more, yeah. I think Mike would know more than I do, actually, on that. I haven't...
Well, he said something like, and I take this with a big grain of salt, but I thought he said more than O5e, which is how we refer to the current 5e from...
Well, there's a handful of O5e ones we can't use. So we've replaced them with more than the amount that we've lost, I think.
Do we have a bag of sea monkey eggs?
Of course, yeah. That's the...
Yeah, that.
In fact, we're renaming the game actually. Sea monkey.
Sea monkeys. The brine shrimp attack. Yeah. A wand of brine shrimp. So, of mutated brine shrimp. So, but yeah, he says something about it's going to have more magic items than like all of the current official O5e stuff combined.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I think that's
maybe. I don't know.
I could be wrong. Big grain of salt. Point is that Advanced 5e is going to initially ship with a ton of magic items.
And they're going to be real as well.
They're going to be
real magic items. Yeah,
you get real magic items.
All of them. All of those real
you get real magic items. Yeah. And, we're not responsible for fireballs and all of that stuff. There's a waiver. Before you can open the book, you actually literally have to sign a waiver before the book.
Those spheres of annihilation. We've now shipped 4,000 black holes around the world.
Yeah, see, I've got down here on my floor, I have my panel of psychologists. I see behind you your panel of lawyers on writing that waiver before they can even open the book on all the awesomeness and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
we got a Kickstarter date for it now.
Yes. What is that Kickstarter
date? I can't remember the exact date, but it's the first Tuesday of October, which is like the 5th or something or whatever. Whatever the first Tuesday of October is.
That makes it real, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a deadline.
That makes it real.
It gives us a target and a deadline.
And to remind people, when you kickstart, like as soon as the Kickstarter's over, stuff starts going out. Yeah, I mean, everything will be, you don't Kickstarter until your stuff's ready.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I've got these Awfully Cheerful Engine books right here, all in my hand.
Yeah, they're right there in your hand. Well, to remind people, and full disclosure, I've been doing some writing tasks on the game. I'm not a major part of the development, but I have been privileged to do some writing tasks, and Russ has been kind enough to allow me to see how this stuff happens behind the scenes. But Advanced 5th Edition or Advanced 5th Edition, if people didn't hear our show on that, it's its own game, but it's fully backwards compatible with 5th Edition. But it's its own game that brings a lot more options and cool stuff to the table. Especially in the exploration pillar and the role-playing pillars, but combat is not being neglected by any means. So I don't even know if I would say it adds crunch. It adds options.
Yeah.
It adds a lot of cool options.
It adds, I reckon, say 10% more crunch. So it's not like it's like twice as crunchy, but it adds 300% breadth.
Yeah, it adds a lot of options and really cool stuff. So, I've got a whole show on that, folks. Russ and Peter have done shows on it on his podcast. I really think you should check it out. It's a cool project. And again, it's fully black. So if you buy a 5th edition adventure, you should be able to run it in Level Up Advanced 5th edition. So it's cool stuff, really cool stuff. So check it out. Kickstarter is coming first Tuesday
October.
In October. October.
That's not far off. What is it now? I don't even know what month it is now. I've been sitting on Zoom for a year. I feel like I don't know what month it is. It's May. Is it May? So June, July, August, September. Yeah, 5 months away.
It is mid-May.
Wow, we got a lot of work to do in 5 months. Wow.
And the last thing I want to mention is that I haven't had a chance to listen yet because it hasn't dropped yet, but it will drop today. We're recording on Saturday, May 22nd. Mm-hmm. Your most recent show on your podcast, Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG news talk.
Almost.
Dang it!
That'll do.
Okay. I've only been on the show and actually co-hosted a couple times. But anyway, is your most recent show, which I'm very much looking forward to, is you talked with one of the main people from Drive-Thru RPG.
The main person from Drive-Thru RPG.
I'm really interested in hearing the behind the scenes on that. So your podcast does a really good job of getting into the cool this game is going to be so cool, and here's why, and here's new mechanics. But it also does a really good job of occasionally touching on the nuts and bolts behind the scenes of the RPG industry and how it works and all that. So I'm really looking forward to that one. So, all right. After all of that, we're only 27 minutes.
Yeah, I have to go now. See you.
Okay, well, man, it's been great. Folks, back Ace, the Awfully Cheerful Engine. So, Awfully Cheerful Engine, tabletop RPG with Russ Morrissey is what we're talking about here. And you've not even tried to hide the fact that you were inspired by West End Games, Ghostbusters, with Sandy Peterson from back in the 80s. In fact, Sandy Peterson has written the foreword.
Yes.
So it's not a clone of the game, but it's in that same spirit, same vein, kind of fun, lighthearted, quick to play. But whereas Ghostbusters was supernatural horror comedy, you have tooled Ace to run a wide variety of genres.
So we call it.
So tell us about it.
So Ghostbusters, the West End Games game that you just mentioned, I reckon is probably one of my favourite games of all time. I played it at the time, and it's always been in my head.
So why is that? What is it about it? Is it just nostalgia?
So it's the first ever dice pool system. And it's
true.
simple, but so elegantly simple and so perfect. It is just such a simple, elegant, perfect game. And it was the first dice pool system I ever came across. So because I've been playing D&D before that. So when I first came across it, the whole idea of a dice pool system blew me away. And obviously this was back in the 80s or whatever. But totally blew me away. And it's been stuck in my head ever since. And whenever I played it, and I drag it out occasionally over the years, over the decades, just for a sort of one-shot blast of the past. And everyone's always really enjoyed it, and there's been such fun and so much laughter. It's such a great game. And it inspired What's Old Is New, which is my sort of larger, more crunchy toolkit system.
And how is Woin? That's Woin for short. How is Woin doing?
That's doing great.
You had all your other projects.
Yeah, we got stuff coming up for that. I'm sorry about that. But it inspired that, and it has inspired a lot of stuff I've done over the years. And thematically, it inspires the Awfully Cheerful Engine, which, because if you remember, I'm just like rambling on this weird monologue now, but if you remember, like the Ghostbusters RPG.
You're monologuing. You're a supervillain.
It was called a frightfully cheerful role-playing game, wasn't it?
Yep.
On the cover, on the box. So this is the Awfully Cheerful Engine. So it's a role-playing game of action comedy, which encompasses Ghostbusters, because that's action comedy with some sort of horror, not quite horror, but you know what I mean, supernatural horror sort of thrown in.
No, it's supernatural horror. There's horror elements in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it's actually quite scary. Yeah. When I watched that as a kid, I was spooked by that film.
Were you?
Yeah.
Well, if you edited Ghostbusters differently and edited the scenes differently and put different music into some of those scenes, they could be pretty tension-filled and scary.
Yeah. So, well, the music was actually quite, in places, quite spooky as well, wasn't it?
That's true. But anyway, it's supernatural horror is what Ghostbusters is with horror comedy. Yeah.
So Awfully Cheerful Engine is basically it's a lightweight, easy to play, easy to learn tabletop role-playing game. Your character sheet's literally the size of a credit card. Everything you need is on that sheet.
And you have a website that generates.
Is
that launched? Is that
it's on there. And that takes 30 seconds to make a character on there. Or if you want to do it manually, it might take you sort of 4 or 5 minutes, and that includes a coffee break. So it's
the point is let's jump in and have fun. There's
exactly.
Not a lot of, So a couple of quick trivia points. One of which you brought up, which reminded me to give out a couple pieces of trivia here. Yes, as far as I know, the West End Games Ghostbusters was a D6
dice pool system. Yeah,
dice pool system, and it was the first. Maybe there was dice pool before, but as far as I know, that was the first one.
I think it was. I'm sure it was the first one ever.
Yeah, and of course that led to the Star Wars West End Games D6, dice pool system. Another thing a lot of people don't know: Sandy Peterson, who wrote Ghostbusters, is also very well known for the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Also did a lot of level design on the original Doom. A lot of people don't know that.
I think you mentioned that to me before. When did you mention that?
Yeah, so Sandy Peterson is an interesting guy. Yeah. So anyway, that's my trivia stuff. So Awfully Cheerful Engine, it's designed to have fun, start playing quickly. What mechanically do people even have to deal with? There's 4 attributes. And,
so you've got 4 stats. You've got smarts, which is how clever you are. You've got moves, which is how good you are at shooting and driving and running and stuff like that. You've got I think style, which is how cool and debonair you are. So that might be sort of like dancing or bluffing or persuasion or charming someone or something like that. And then you've got brawn, which is how physical you are. So it's not just strength, but it's sort of, swimming and climbing and lifting things and breaking things and brawling and stuff. So
and the original Ghostbusters had 4.
They're the same. They're pretty much the same 4 stats.
Muscles.
It had brains, moves, muscles, and cool, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah. So let's say that. So anyway, you got
your 4 stats,
your 4 attributes, and then you get a quick 1-sentence summary.
So you get one ability. So you choose what's called a role, and a role is sort of like the idea of a race or a class in other games. So you could be a ghost, or you could be a barbarian, or you could be an astronaut, or you could be a dog, or you could. So it could be anything, any concept basically, a vampire or a robot or archaeologist. Right. Yeah. So you choose your role.
A kid on a bike.
Yeah. So your role gives you one special ability. So each character basically you've got 4 stats and 1 special ability that only you can do, and that's it. That's your character. So if you're a ghost, I think the special ability is, you're incorporeal. You don't ever take any damage, and you can move through things, but you can't pick things up. So there's that, and that's it. That's a bit of a drawback. That's your special ability. That's it. Done. And that's your entire character.
So, and then it's again, I want to highlight the fact that this is multi-genre. Where just looking at your Kickstarter art, you have a very Indiana Jones type adventure. You have Spirits of Manhattan, which is an homage to Ghostbusters. Yeah. You have Strange Science, which is sort of Stranger Things. You have Beam Me Up, which people can obviously infer from there. So I have to ask. So I played and had a really good time with the What's Old is New version of Spirits of Manhattan. How hard was it to convert over? Like, how does it, like if I played it in Wine and then I turn around and played Spirits of Manhattan in Awfully Cheerful Engine, what would be different? Like, would it be an even lighter tone?
I think so, yeah. I mean, a lot of the text is the same. Dave Chapman's original text in there. So it's only the mechanics that have changed. I think the mechanics to Awfully Cheerful do lend themselves to a lighter, faster, more comedic tone. But you'd have largely the same experience, I think. It would just be a bit faster, a little more...
quicker to get into. Is it fair to say that, if you're wanting to play a tabletop role-playing game with people who aren't used to them, this might be better than putting D&D in front of them for the first time?
So, I kind of designed this as being ideal for one-shots.
Which I love. I love... because I don't have time to start new campaigns in every cool game that comes along. So I love one-shots.
So one-shots or really short campaigns, which are like 2 or 3 sessions or something. Or pick-up games at conventions. Or for streaming as well. It's perfect for streaming. Because it's, nobody has to... You don't have to move miniatures around on a battle map. You don't have to calculate distances. You don't have to spend too much...
It's all theater of the mind.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that reminds me... E.N. World or your E.N. Publishing has a new initiative to start doing some more streaming and stuff, right? You've hired a new
Sarah Elson. Yeah.
Okay, so give us a quick elevator pitch on what you're doing.
Well, Sarah is our new community and media manager, and she started last month. And the first thing that she organised was the online demo of Awfully Cheerful Engine, which is on the Kickstarter page, where I run, for the first time ever in my entire life, a game on camera.
Nice.
So I've never done that before, but what I have now. So that is on the Kickstarter page, and she's got a couple more demos being planned before the Kickstarter ends. But also, we're going to be making a monthly news show, which is like E.N. Publishing news. So it's going to be talking about Awfully Cheerful, and it's going to be talking about Level Up.
But is it going to be like a news anchor desk and that?
Yeah, I don't know what the format's going to look like yet, but it's probably going to be like a chat or interview type format. But it's like company news. It's not like general RPG news. It's this is the stuff we've got coming. Here's some previews of this, and here's a look at that. So it's sort of in-house news show.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah. So I think we can record the first one of those in like a week or 2 as well. So I don't know how that's gonna turn out, but that'll be fun.
So when Modifius looks in their rearview mirror that says objects are closer than they appear, here comes E.N. Publishing.
They're quite
more dice for us.
They're quite a bit bigger than us.
Yeah. Well, but you're growing. I mean, you're definitely. You're definitely growing.
Are you saying that I put on weight during the pandemic? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You put on about 35 stone. I don't even know, what is a stone, 17 pounds or something like that?
14
I don't know.
pounds, yeah.
14, yeah. No, yeah, but E.N. Publishing is definitely getting bigger. Yeah, so I'm looking on the Kickstarter page right now, and you have, it's the Awfully Cheerful Engine, what you're talking about, it's Monkey Business. Mm-hmm. Actual play. Morrus, the director. So the DM or GM is called the director?
The players are heroes. Okay. The DM or GM is the director. And all the NPCs and monsters are called extras. So basically it's like movie terminology. It's like action comedy movies.
That's easy for people to get. Yeah, that's easy for people to get. So you got Mike, Mr. Mike Myler, is Doorbot the Despondent Robot. Mark is Banksy the Unruly Turtle. Sarah is Randolph the Greedy Crow. And Kazi is Frida von Floof the Fickle Cat. So Monkey Business, at first I would think this is King Kong, but what is this?
So it's set in like a small like Midwest American town, like think like Chicago, but way smaller, like much smaller. Right. But it's like a cartoon town, and everyone's talking animals. So you got a crow and you got whatever they were, a robot and so think Danger Mouse or think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something like that. So that's the town.
Right.
And a group of apes dressed in 1920s like Prohibition era gangster suits, zoot suits, hats and Tommy guns,
mugs.
have taken over a department store. And the mayor has to call.
And everything's gone bananas.
Yeah, exactly. And the mayor has to call in the heroes to come and sort out the situation.
that
silly.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then right underneath that, there's something that talks about radioactive adventure.
Yeah, so that was Table Story, who's a streaming outfit. Quite a big, successful, popular one. And
that was very nice.
They recorded that last year, I think, like October or November. So we've had that for a while.
Yeah, that is great. Looking through the Kickstarter page, all of the materials look good. It's bright, friendly, happy looking. But the point is, people can always adapt anything, and somebody's like, I'm going to reskin this into grimdark, and that's fine if you want to, because people can do whatever they want. But it's meant to just be a quick, let's jump in, lighthearted, fun romp type of adventures. So, so given now E.N. Publishing and yourself are pretty busy with, you got your existing stuff. You got Wine, What's Old is New. You have Judge Dredd and the Worlds of 2000 AD, which is a Wine-powered game and series of products. You're working on Level Up Advanced 5th Edition. What was it that was so compelling about this idea that in the middle of all that, you're like, I've got to do Ace? Like what? Do you just get an idea and you just kind of run with it?
It's been in my head for ages, long that it's been in my head for, and it just had to come out sometime. And with Level Up coming up, and that is obviously going to take up a lot of my my attention from like October onwards. I just had to get it done now. I had to get it out. I've been working on this now for about a year, actually.
Well, I remember a year or so ago, it was either on your podcast or we were just talking, chatting. I don't remember what it was, but you were thinking out loud as like, I'd like to do RPG books as like comic book issues.
Yeah, so that's been in my head for a long time as well.
Right. And that leads to the format of these books. Yeah. Right? They're not comic books as if on that type of paper stock and all that, but the size, it's almost like buying an issue of a comic book whenever you're getting an adventure.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So they're like 30 pages long each. They're the size of a comic book. So the entire core rule book is 30 pages, size of a comic book. And that's with a lot of art and pictures and, generous layout and stuff. So it's a quick game to pick up and learn. And then we've got 4 adventures, each of which, so that's issue number 1. And on the front of that, it says Ace, issue number 1. And then we give each one an issue number, just like a comic book. So issue number 2 is Spirits of Manhattan. So that's the first.
Yeah, and that even says bumper size issue.
Yeah, that's a little bit larger.
Starburst.
It's like 45 pages or something. Then Montana Drones and the Rages of the Cutty Stark is issue 3. Strange Science is issue 4. And then we've got Beam Me Up as issue 5. So. And each of those, like 30 pages, give or take. Montana Jones is, I think, a little bit shorter, and Spirits is a bit longer, but about 30 pages.
So it launches with the core rulebook and 4 adventures.
Yeah.
And again, you get Spirits of Manhattan, which it's Ghostbusters homage, Montana Drones, archaeologist, Strange Science, Kids on Bikes, and Beam Me Up, which is, space adventure.
Yeah.
So you've got a good range of genres there. that people could jump immediately into. There's a free compatibility license. So is that like an OGL for Awfully Cheerful Engine? Tell us about this.
Well, yeah, it's not an OGL. It's just to use a logo. So it's a logo compatibility license. So you can write stuff for the Awfully Cheerful Engine, and you can sell it or give it away for free. You don't need to give us anything. You don't even need to tell us you're doing it, although if you want to, that's cool. And, we might tell people about it. But
right.
You can just start doing it. You can use a logo, which we've put on the website, which is powered by the Awfully Cheerful Engine. You can put that on your book, as long as you follow sort of like a half dozen basic rules. And they're basic common sense rules, like...
I'm sure there's some guidelines.
Yeah, sort of like you can't use the logo and make that the biggest thing on the front of your cover, because then it looks like your book is called The Awfully Cheerful Engine. So the logo has to be smaller than your title, that sort of thing. Just common sense stuff. So if people design just so that if people look at your book, they don't think we at E.N. Publishing have produced it. It's just about being transparent to the customer. They know that it's a third-party book.
So content-wise... What kind of... I mean, I'm guessing you don't want people to do...
Oh, they can do what they want. They can do whatever they want.
Oh, really?
They can make adventures. They can make books of roles. They can make rules. Anything they want to do, they can do. They can make anything they want. I'm one of those people that really, really believes that a supported game is a successful game. Yeah. So the more support there is for your game, the more chance it has to be successful.
Well, and let's be honest, the OGL has led to where D&D is now.
Yeah. And the DM's Guild later.
Been a factor.
The DM's Guild later has accelerated that. So
right. Yeah. It's not the only factor, but having all these third parties has helped the was it a rising tide lift all boats kind of thing. Okay, so let's look at what people get from the Kickstarter. And by the way, you've already funded. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you funded within, I don't know, pretty quickly.
I'm not sure, because I launched it and then I made myself go for a walk with the dog and come back, so I wouldn't sit there refreshing it. So I came back an hour later and it had funded, but I couldn't tell you at what point in that time.
Nice. Well, that's nice. You are at, your goal was $7,000. You have tripled that. You're at $22,000, so you'll definitely... launch. This goes till Friday, June 18th, which is when we're recording our next show on your show. Yeah. I think we penciled in June 18th to talk about superhero RPGs. So, but let's talk about what you get. You get and of course, there is an initial pledge level for PDF versions of things. Which is cool. If this is like your other Kickstarters, the minute the Kickstarter ends, like within seconds,
that will go out immediately. So PDF rules, straight away they're going out. Right.
This is already all done. Mm-hmm. The books are ready to go. Now when the Kickstarter ends, that lets you know how many to print, right? Yeah. So they print and then ship out.
So you use the Kickstarter funds for the print run and then finish it.
Right, but there'll be no a year later, hey, we're sorry, so-and-so got sick, or so-and-so had this come up.
Yeah, you'll get them straight away.
Done with the writing yet.
One thing we are doing is we have got stretch goals on this, which is really, really rare for an E.N. Publishing Kickstarter.
Yeah, it's stretch goals and you don't... Yeah. So let's talk about your stretch goals.
Well, the reason I did the stretch goals on this, because normally, as you know, I like to finish a Kickstarter, fulfill it, and then move on, and not have to worry about that Kickstarter ever again. But because of the format of this, and it's kind of like comic books, I wanted to keep them going. So ideally, what I'd like to do is put out one of these every quarter and just keep going until people stop buying them.
An adventure every quarter, so 4 adventures.
So ideally, that's what I'd like to do. So to kickstart that off, we've got some. Well, currently there's 4 planned, and we revealed 2 of them so far, and we've made one of them. I think we made the first one. So the first one. So those are going to go out quarterly after the Kickstarter ends. So think of it like you're signing up for a comic book subscription or something. So they're going to go out quarterly after the Kickstarter ends. So that's probably going to be 4 of them, depending how many we get to on the stretch goals. And then after they're done, we'll look at it and see if we're going to continue. But I hope that we'll continue indefinitely, but we'll see.
Okay, nice. So, but the core Kickstarter will go immediately.
Yeah. So those first 5 books, the first 5 books go straight.
Okay. What kind of response have you had so far?
Everyone seems to love it so far. I mean, they haven't got it in their hands yet, but from what they've seen and on the website, there's quite a lot of information. There's like the core rules are on the basically thing telling you how to play is on the website, and there's the character builder on the website, and people have been making characters and sticking those in the comments on the Kickstarter. And someone really wants us to do a Venture Brothers one, which that sounds like a really good idea.
The Adventure Brothers.
Exactly.
See, you wouldn't get sued for that at all.
Yeah.
The Adventure Sisters.
That's a good reference. The Adventure Sisters. That might be it. That might be it. No.
Yeah, you wouldn't get sued for that at all. So, well, this looks really fun. This looks like it. It looks like it has legs to me. With that quarterly.
Well, I hope so. I mean, it's doing really well so far, and we're 4 days in now. 4 days in on the Kickstarter. So I think it's going to hit at least 3 of those stretch goals, maybe the 4th one.
And each stretch goal is another adventure.
Yeah.
Right?
So the first one is Orcs and Oubliettes, and it's a D&D parody.
Right.
And then the one after that is called Bite Me, and that is basically
called Bite Me.
Yeah. So that's Transylvania, Dracula, werewolves, zombies, ghosts, ghouls, that sort of thing. And then the third one we haven't announced yet, but I could tell you what it is. Shall I tell you what it is?
Ooh, give me a scoop. Give me a scoop.
Okay, right. So if I told you it's called Domes of Thunder, what does that say to you?
Only one can leave. It speaks to me of Tina Turner.
You got it in one. So it's basically post-apocalyptic Mad Max style mayhem with mutants thrown in.
What are you guys calling Master Blaster?
I don't know yet.
Blaster Master?
Yeah, I don't know.
You changed the name to Blaster Master?
I don't know yet. We'll see. We shall see. But that will be the next one. If we make Bite Me, that will be the next one.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I see Orcs and Oubliettes on the page right now. So that sounds fun. So and then obviously you have some other fun stretch goals or fun ideas. Knowing you have a few in the pipeline. When you need them.
I got some in my head, but I think like 4 is probably right for this. I think that's about what it's going to make ish.
All right. So I got to ask, honestly, man, and I'm not saying this from like trying to flatter you or so. How do you keep up with all the stuff you have going on? Seriously, because you got this going on. You got A5E. You got Wine. You got all the. And I see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff going. How do you do it? I mean, like how?
One of those people with work-life balance issues. That's how.
Yeah.
It's just 24/7. If I'm not working, I'm thinking about working. So, and also my work is my hobby. Making games, it just feels like a hobby. So, when I am working on a game, I don't feel like I'm working.
You don't feel like you're working. You feel like you're playing. So, and I know you've been hiring more people to help out with administrative stuff.
Yeah, I've been trying to shift them all because the side of the business, running a small company that involves accounts and dealing with shipping and manufacturers and all that stuff is not what. Yeah, that's not fun. That's not what I want to be doing. So, I've hired a couple of publishing administrators, Mark and Kazi, who are amazing, who do all that stuff behind the scenes. And they're so important as well. Every single company has someone like that at the company. Yeah. Isn't necessarily the face of the company, but does such important stuff behind the scenes to make sure that
your girl Friday.
Yeah. So, it's like a duck. And underneath the water, the feet are paddling furiously. You can't see it.
But they look. Yeah, they look so calm on the top.
Yeah. So, that's what's going on behind the scenes.
Just knowing how many writers, artists, editors, all the stuff that has to be coordinated for.
I've gotten better at delegating. in the last year or two. I used to be terrible. I'd like micromanage to the point where, there wasn't even any point me having delegated in the first place. It was stupid. But I've gotten better at that now. I am more easily able to leave people to do stuff and just check in on them occasionally for an update.
So, do you think that, and I'm not trying to imply any way whatsoever that COVID was a good thing. It's not. It's horrible. However, it did force people to have more time on their hands. So do you think that the past year, your, like, I want to get stuff out efforts benefited from having to stay at home?
No, because I work from home anyway. So personally, as far as my lifestyle goes.
But I'm talking about like you couldn't even pop around to the pub.
Yeah, that didn't affect me so much because I do work from home anyway. I mean, the main effects of COVID on me was my personal life, my social life, not being able to see family and not being able to see friends was terrible. Fun. A lot of conventions as well. We haven't been able to go to conventions and things like that, which I missed. But I think I'm going to wait. Yeah, end of the year. I think maybe for me. I don't think I want to be in crowds yet. Not yet. It's like, the cinemas are just opening here as well, and I'm quite happy to watch it on TV at home right now.
Yeah, I went once. The only reason I've gone to the theater so far is my buddy. For as soon as Godzilla King of the Monsters ended, he's like, "We're going to see Kong versus," because they set it up at the end of Godzilla King of the Monsters. Yeah, they set up sort of a King Kong thing, and he didn't stop talking about it for 2 years. So the night it came out, I went ahead and went, and he bought my ticket, and so I watched Kong versus Godzilla in the theater.
You watched the monkey punch a lizard.
I watched the bunch, and I enjoyed monkey punching lizard very much because it's what I wanted. I wanted a big giant monkey punching a giant lizard, and
that's what you got. That is exactly what you got.
I'm not looking for art, right? I'm looking for
a monkey punching
stupidness. A lizard. Yeah, pretty much. So, and then I came home and watched it the next night with my wife and son on HBO Max. So, I thought I did like what they did with Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, it was all right. That film. It was okay.
Yeah, and I thought that the core Earth, I forget what you call it. I thought that was done well. I really liked that.
Yeah, it was a bit silly, but then it is a monkey punching a lizard, so...
Well, right. I mean, I don't know. When people get them, they're like, wow, it's freaking kaijus. I mean, what are you wanting, people? All I want is an excuse, an entertaining excuse for the giant monkey to punch the giant lizard, and I'm happy.
Are they doing more of those?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was actually considered, at least here in the States, that was considered in COVID numbers. That was a big hit. Good. Yeah, it got people. It was the first.
It's kind of hard to get a sense of what's doing well and what isn't now.
Yeah, well, everything I saw, they were very happy because it's the first movie that really came along. They got people back in their seats.
Yeah,
in the theaters.
But but when they release a film and it's good for COVID, but not good for a non-COVID time, they're still making a lot less money, aren't they? And they've still got to cover their expenses. So if they spent $400 million on a film, or I don't know, if they spent.
I don't know how they figure all that out. All right, so anyway, the Awfully Cheerful Engine, ACE for short, is currently on Kickstarter, and it is a game of how do we
action
put it?
comedy.
A game of action comedy that spans genres. That's quick to get into, quick to play, and a lot of fun. Meant to be lighthearted. You could play it as a campaign, I'm sure, if you wanted to, but it's designed more for one-shots and short campaigns. Yeah. And there's more to come. So exciting stuff. Go check it out. I'll, of course, link it in the show notes. But just search for Awfully Cheerful Engine, and you'll end up either on the website.
Yeah, you'll find it. It's not one of those common internet terms. You'll find it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good name, the Awfully Cheerful Engine. All right, well, I got to do this to you. I got to do it.
Do you? Do you, though?
Yep, I do.
But do you, though? Are you sure you do?
I absolutely not.
I mean, I don't think you do.
It's written into the terms of service coming out of the show.
Fine.
Well, yeah. So, okay, got to do the bad joke of the week. Okay. Why did the Borg cross the road?
I don't know, Shane. Why did the Borg cross the road?
To assimilate the chicken. I wish people could see your face. Here's the question. Would Peter have liked that?
Probably.
I think that actually made your life worse. Like objectively.
I need a drink now.
I think Hudson's back there howling.
Well, actually, technically, it's like 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. I can have a drink. Ooh,
yeah, you might as well have a drink. Yeah. Throw a brine shrimp on the Barbie.
It's Eurovision tonight on TV, apparently. I was informed by my wife earlier today, it's Eurovision on TV, and I was like, oh, no, is it? Do we have to? Eurovision. Is that what we're doing tonight then?
That fascinated me, because we don't have anything like that here in the States. And when I lived in England, Eurovision came on.
I don't get it either.
Yeah. Well, I was like, what is this? And like my girlfriend and her friends explained it to me. And I was like riveted. I was like, this is fascinating. And they were like they were looking at me like, what an idiot. I was all into this Eurovision thing, because it was new to me.
It's just like the biggest, most tacky, I don't know. I mean, you watch it to laugh at it, I guess, is why you watch it. You watch it, you get drunk and you laugh at it. Because we used to have Terry Wogan used to do the commentary for it, and then when he passed, what's his name, Graham Norton took over. He sits there getting steadily more and more drunk as he does the commentary throughout the evening.
Well, that's worth it for that. So, for those that don't know, Eurovision is like all of the countries in Europe. Basically,
well, you think that, but Australia's in it, and like Scandinavia. So there's loads of different places are in it. I don't know why it's even called Eurovision.
Yeah, a lot of countries they put in basically a song.
And we're in it, and we're not in Europe anymore. So
yeah, you're the. They're going to start calling it Brexovision.
Yeah, Brexovision.
So Brexovision. Anyway, man, I appreciate you so much. I always enjoy having you on. Good luck with Ace, the awful, not the awful.
The awful cheerful engine.
The awfully cheerful engine. Tabletop RPG.
This game is
awful. But cheerful. So, anyway, all right, man. Take care. And folks, don't forget, you can always catch Russ on his podcast. And there's just a tremendous amount of news on his RPG News website, unofficial tabletop RPG News.
Yes, that is. Yes, that is. We even got the name right.
Woohoo! Yes!
Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.